Thank you for joining the City of Kingston Common Council at a special finance meeting. Today is Monday, February 1st. My name is Andrew Schott. Before we begin, we'd like to go over a few guidelines to help us navigate this system as efficiently and respectfully as possible. We ask that members of the public and press remain muted and off camera for the length of the meeting. Council members and city staff will control their own mute button. Good practice would be to mute yourself if you're not speaking. If a council member or staff wishes to speak, they will raise their hand. The chairperson will call them. All of our meetings are recorded. Both video and written transcriptions will be made available to the public on the city's website. If you have any audio issues, send a text message to the following number, 845-594-6120, or you could chat with me right on the Zoom webinar. Again, the number to text is 845-594-6120. As the organizer, I reserve the right to lock and pause the meeting to eject anyone who has behaved inappropriately. Lastly, at tonight's meeting, we have in attendance the chair, Alderman Rennie Scott Childress, Finance Committee members, Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch, Alderman Don Tollerman, Alderman Tony Davis, and non-committee members, council members, Alderman Patrick O'Reilly and Alderman Jeffrey Ventura Morel. I know Steve Shabbat is trying to get in. That's one of the issues I'm working through. So hopefully we can get him in soon. Thank you for your patience during these difficult times. I wish you and all your family good health. And I now turn the floor to Alderman Rennie Scott Childress.
Great, thank you, President Schott. Welcome everybody tonight. Rennie Scott Childress here. The purpose of this meeting is to consider budget alteration for sewer design here in Midtown. So we've got John Schultheis with us. I'll remind everyone that we're going to follow the new procedure, whereas we will can ask questions of John and discuss anything with him that we want to, but before we debate among ourselves, we have to have a motion and a second in order to set that in motion. Okay, everybody clear? Any questions? All right, great. Welcome, John. Appreciate you coming out on this snowy night. And somebody just got here. All right, so if you can tell us what's going on here so that we can understand what the issue is and why we need to have more money in this case.
Sure. Yeah, good evening. Thank you for calling the meeting on short notice for this item. Towards the end of last year, we had a authorization for the project in the amount of $1.9 million, which we believe would be sufficient. However, once we received the bids, which we received 7 competitive bids and opened those bids roughly approximately 10 days ago. We identified the low bidder, and their bid was somewhat higher than we had expected or hoped. And so the purpose of tonight's meeting is a request for $250,000 of additional funding by municipal bonding, which would allow us to make the award and get this project under construction. And again, this is the replacement of the sanitary sewer from near 743 Broadway to Henry Street, which is a distance of about 1,300 feet. And this was the segment of sewer we identified as most in need of replacement as we look to finish the Broadway streetscape project next year. So tonight's, in addition to the 1.9 million previously authorized, tonight's request is for 250,000 additional, which is sufficient to award the project to the low bidder.
Thank you, sir. Any questions here for John Schultheis? Tony Davis, please.
Tony Davis here. Well, John, when did we award this bid to you originally? What day? What month?
I'm sorry, what was I don't understand the question exactly.
You said we awarded this, we we awarded this money. What month was it that we awarded this to you originally? To bond for you're saying 1.9 we originally
Right.
passed.
I can check my record real quick and see it was a resolution towards the end of last year.
So we were talking about December.
Hang on, I'll tell you the exact. Here. Sorry, I don't have it directly in front of me. It was, I believe it was resolution 170
Yep.
of 2020.
So would that put us in December then?
Sorry, I'm trying to find the answer to the question right now. I apologize. It'll take me just a minute, but I will find the answer.
Okay. And so I'm still asking. So we originally passed a resolution for 1.9 million. The highest bid came in 1.87, right?
Yes, but I think what I failed to mention was there are also $200,000 in design and construction administration costs for our consultants. So you'd add the 1.87 million plus 200,000. So we have a minimum of 2.07 million. And then, you know, tonight, I rounded up a bit in case there's a need for a change order. These underground projects have some uncertainty. So there's about an extra roughly 80,000 in case a change order becomes necessary.
And just clarify, what did you say? What section of Broadway? I missed that.
Right. So this project starts at Henry Street and goes west to about 743, which is the area near the Restorative Justice Center. It's, you know, just it's a distance of about 1,300 feet from Henry going west.
Welcome, Alderman Shabbat.
And then there's one other question, Ren.
Yes, sir.
And John, while you're still looking for that date, again, I'm just trying to figure out why this always comes back. It seems like when we put these bids out, when we do these resolutions, then the bid always comes in more than what was anticipated, and then it's got to come back for more money. How can we do better on that? I'm not. Why wasn't it factored in? Like, okay, this is going to be $2 million. We're going to do it for $2 million, and it just seems like we always come back and then we open up the bids. Oh, and they're higher than what we anticipated. So now we need to borrow more money. And I'm just trying to figure out, how do you guys calculate what you want for finance before you go out and put these out?
So just to clarify one thing, and that is, you know, we've not awarded the bid. So if the council declines to make this additional funding, you know, we won't award the bid. I think your question then is, how do we come up with the most accurate estimates possible? And how can we make those estimates more accurate? So, you know, the bidding environment is a little bit unpredictable. You know, in this case, I feel good about the bids. We got seven bids. So it's, you know, it's a pretty large number of bidders. I can tell you there's especially when you talk about underground utility construction, there's a lot of variability. So those 7 bids ranged from the 1.87 million up to $4 million. So obviously, you know, each bidder looks at it with their own set of criteria of you know, what they believe the level of effort to do the project is. And, So we put these things out for bid. We try to get as many bids as we can. And we believe that that, you know, gives us the most competitive result. That being said, each bidder has to make their own predictions about the cost of labor, the cost of materials that they're gonna incur, and that can change very quickly, like we've seen recently with the cost of lumber. The cost of concrete changes daily. So we can prepare an estimate in July or August or September. Which, to answer your question, this came to Finance Committee in October of last year, so I think it would have gone to the full council in November. So it was probably, you know, based on an estimate that I would have gotten in, say, September. And by the time we open bids in January, prices have changed. So, you know, it's we do the best we can with estimates.
Thank you.
Any other questions? John, let me ask you then, if you could remind us, what is the condition of the sewer lines that you're looking at here?
Right.
And, you know, that goes along then with two other questions, which are, what would be the likelihood if we don't make this change of having to do significant work there, number
Right.
one, and number two, what kind of cost savings, if any, are we looking at, since we'll already be digging Broadway up to do the streetscape? I mean, at least to some degree, right?
Right. So the question about the condition, you know, we put the sewer camera through the length of the sewer on Broadway, including down from basically the roundabout down to the underpass, and identified this segment, the western half, is the segment with the most problems, and that also lines up with the maintenance history of that section. We know it accumulates grease. We know it has a history of sinkholes and cave-ins in the pavement surface. We know DPW has to respond to this location frequently with the jet truck. And we know from the camera survey that there are bellies in the pipe where the slope is not correct, and then, you know, that creates a high maintenance situation. We also, when we started trenching across the pavement, encountered voids over the top of the sewer that were previously hidden. So this segment is known to have operation problems. And to answer your question about the cost savings that result from doing this project now, there is a savings in that the pavement patch that the sewer contractor can do can be of a temporary nature, and therefore it costs less. Whereas in the final pavement is put down by the streetscape contractor. There's also savings in the pavement markings that result from having this done this way, and that those final pavement markings are already in the other contract. And you know, finally, just, you know, from an escalation point of view, we see costs just continue to go up. So doing this same project a year from now, or 2 years, or 5 years from now, is likely to cost more just due to simple escalation.
We'll get up to that $4 million mark. All right. I see Steve Shabbat has a question.
Yeah, thanks, Rennie. Actually, I do remember having this discussion before we voted in the fall. Sometimes memory doesn't serve me too correctly, but the same question was asked about, you know, what's the likelihood of the fail? And I know you couldn't give us an exact definitive number, but it sure sounded like it was only a matter of time, and, you know, not necessarily when, but if. And, you know, we also discussed the fact that, okay, if it's a year from now, what's the likelihood of the cost increase? And, you know, I think certainly in my mind, that's one of the reasons I voted for this, is because it's, you know, why not address it now before it fails? And it's going to be, you know, it's going to complicate matters. So I know that's why I made my vote, because, you know, we did ask these questions already. And my recollection, you're answering the same way you did the last time.
Great. Any other questions for John Schulteis? All right, John, if you'll stick around. So do we have a motion to adopt this request? Steve Shabbat gives us the motion. Do we have a second? Don Tollerman gives us the second. Any discussion? Any discussion? All right. Or Don, do you have a point to make?
Yeah, only that, this is, just seems to make sense to me. I get Tony's question about, why do we always have to find more money? Why isn't it, the initial bids are more accurate? And, I appreciate John's response, but, as Steve said, we did talk about this before, and it's kind of one of those things that has to get done at this point, in my opinion, because we're doing the streetscape and there's no better time to do it. So as much as it hurts, I think it's the right thing to vote for it.
I would agree with that point. Any other comments here? Michelle Hirsch, then Tony Davis.
I just want to say that I will be a yes. I think that this is a really important project for the infrastructure of our city. And I know that my constituents wanted it to be to happen. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Tony Davis.
And I can have the question to John Toohey, since I see he's here now.
Yes, sir.
John Toohey, can you tell me how's this going to affect us with bonding? I'm assuming we're bonding for this.
Just unmuting here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So, Tony, we will borrow the whatever the actual project costs are in terms of the bonding to 20-year bond. So the additional amount would be paid over 20 years.
Alrighty. So it's going to be 20-year bond.
20-year bond. At first, it'll be short term, but it'll be paid over 20-year amortization.
Alrighty.
Short term, that'll go long term.
Thank you.
Sure.
And then the increase here, John, following on Alderman Davis's question, the increase here will not be significant in terms of our overall borrowing?
No, I mean, on an overall level, our sewer fund is in pretty good shape in terms of where we're at. We've hovered. We're in the middle of an analysis of our debt, but the debt in the sewer fund it's been up and down, but over the last eight to 10 years, it has no significant increase over that time frame. When you kind of look at it from point to point. So no, it's a manageable amount, particularly because these are 20-year bonds.
Great, thank you, sir.
Sure.
All right, any other comments, questions, concerns, enthusiasms? Alderman Morel?
Yeah, I just want to echo what has been already said. I think it's a little bit frustrating that this keeps happening, but at the same time, I understand the importance of this project, and it's something that really we have no choice but to do. We can't wait until it fails. So.
Thank you, sir. All right. Without objection, then, I will call for the vote. All in favor of adopting this measure, please signify by raising your thumb. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All opposed? No one. The motion is passed, and it will now go to the Common Council tomorrow night for a final vote there. All right. President Schott, anything you need from us now?
Yeah, there was that late communication that from John Schulte's office that I sent you on Friday when it came in.
Which I don't remember.
Well, John is here, so he could
Sorry.
explain it. This
All
was
right,
timely,
John.
so I do apologize for accepting such a late communication. I tried hard not to do that, but this was, we either do it or we don't get this. So I'll let John go over that.
All right. I'm sorry. Alderwoman Hirsch, do you have a question first? You're muted.
Also, agenda item number 1 was the tow truck fees added to the fee
Oh, thank
schedule.
you. Yeah, I've been dealing with all this and I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
Can you explain that now?
Excuse me?
Do you want me to explain that now, Rennie? Or
Well,
No, let's let John
Oh.
go first so that in case he wants to skedaddle sooner rather than later. So John, what's the issue here?
Right. So also related to the sewers, but this is on a happier note, hopefully, is that we became aware of a grant opportunity. And so we're asking tonight for authorization to apply for the grant. The project in question has to do with electric blowers located at the city's wastewater treatment plant. And the grant in question is administered by the New York State EFC, Environmental Facilities Corporation. And I think you have a draft resolution and committee report from me. Maybe you want to read that into the record, but basically this grant is one that applies to improvements that are energy efficient. And the blowers at the wastewater plant are a large user of electricity. And related to this, we've been working for almost 2 years on mandated improvements at the wastewater plant, which this grant would further support. So tonight is not a financial impact, but it's a request to authorize the city to apply for the GIGP, which is Green Innovation Grant Program grant to help offset the costs of upgrades to the blowers. This is looks like an excellent fit for our project, and this grant program can pay up to 75% of the cost. So the city's match is only 25%.
All right. I'm sorry, my computer's going slowly here. So this is an application for the grant. Yes. Or it's authorized.
Yes.
It's to authorize your application for the grant.
That's correct. The resolution in support of this would be attached to the grant application, and the agencies that evaluate the strength of our grant look for that support from the agents, from the Common Council, when we make an application.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the committee report would read here to request authorization for the mayor to apply and execute documents for a grant from the NYSEFC GIGP for funds in an amount of $5,100,000 for energy efficient blowers in the wastewater treatment plant. The match requirement of 25% of the total project cost in the amount of $1,275,000 will be provided by another grant in kind, force account funds, donations, and if necessary, bonding to be requested. The total cost is $5,100,000, but the estimated financial impact of this request to grant authorization to apply has no financial impact. Great. So again, where are we here?
Question from Steve, Rennie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm running around my computer here. Steve Shabbat, then Michelle Hirsch.
Actually, I don't have a question. I was going to make a motion that we allow this to proceed.
All right. Hold on to that, if you will. Michelle Hirsch. Do you have a question for
I
John?
believe Alderman Tollerman had his hand up prior to myself, so.
Thanks,
Either way.
Michelle. Yeah, John, you mentioned efficiency. That's, does that mean, will that be less expensive to run long-term? Will it help remediate the odors that we currently have that are still improved from the past, but they're still there? What's a net benefit to us if we get the
Right.
grant?
So yes, the basis on which we will only be awarded this grant if we can show a significant energy savings, which they define as at least 20%. I don't have the figures in front of me to tell you 20% of how much, but the blowers are 200 horsepower each, and they run day and night, so they consume a large amount of electricity. They're probably by themselves one of the largest users of electricity that the city owns. And so the new ones are of much newer technology and will easily save 20% and likely more. So yes, there's ongoing savings to the city as a result of installing new blowers.
No effect on the odors, right?
Well, that's really not a consideration for this grant at this time.
Curious.
Alderwoman Hirsch.
Yes, hi. Thank you, John. I have a couple of questions. So it says that we've been in the design and planning and design stage regarding the modifications. So one, is this price that for the project, for the blowers, like how current a price is that, like the cost?
That's an estimate from October of last year.
Okay. And then the committee report says a request to authorize for the mayor to apply and execute documents. So does that execute documents mean just apply for the grant or also enter into the grant if we are awarded the grant?
Right. No, we would be back to the council because in order to, if we're successful, you then would proceed to a execution stage, and to do that would require a commitment to the funding. So we would be back to the council at that time.
Okay, so we may not receive the full amount either, right? So we wouldn't know until.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we're presenting 5.1, and the state then, if we're successful, gives us all or some portion of that towards the project.
Okay. And then what is our, like, do we have a hard timeline that we have to meet? I know it says that we have in 2016, we had an update to our permit. So is there a deadline?
Sure. Yeah.
What would happen if we don't meet that deadline? What is that all?
So there are numerous, because it's a large project, the design alone is a couple years. So we've been in constant communication with DEC, who provides us with intermediate steps along the way that give them assurance that we're making steady progress. The next major step, last year we did an intermediate step, like a basis of design, where we came to certain agreements with DEC about what the overall improvements will look like. And the next step is to present them with 100% design documents, which are due to them actually the middle of next month. So we've been in communication with our consultant, hammering out the design at various steps along the way. So we just actually had last week a meeting at the 60% design level for this project. So that's another. We just became aware of this particular grant a couple of weeks ago, but it dovetails right into work we've been doing for many years. The overall project actually was already awarded grant funding back in 2017 or 18. So we're as we identify grants, on these large projects that make sense, we apply for them. This particular one has a very short fuse, which is the reason for needing to be at a special finance meeting with it.
Right, I did look up the grant actually and saw that it was due, the application was due February 12th. Okay, thank you.
Good, so you'll have to have it done before Valentine's Day. All right, other questions, comments for John? All right, then again, thank you, sir. If you'll hold on just a second while we discuss, do we have a motion for this request? Alderwoman Hirsch, second. Steve Shabbat. Any discussion? Any comments, debate, discussion? All right, then. Without objection, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of applying, raise your thumb, please. That's 5 in favor. All opposed? 0. So we are done with that. Thank you very much, John Schulteis. We
Thank you.
appreciate the work you
Have a
do.
good night.
All right. President Schott, are you going to tell us about the tow truck fee issue?
Yeah,
here?
Dan Gartenstein might also be able to jump in, but what happened is after laws and rules addressed this, it was assigned to finance. And I think it just fell off because we were talking, or the committee was in talks with one of the tow truck drivers who then didn't come to a meeting. So this is just cleanup work because now it's in the fee schedule, but not the specific amount. So if you want to just keep the same fees, all we have to do is just say, I have to find the report, to say that it's the same, to move it from the code into the fee schedule. Is that right, Dan? Can you say that more eloquently?
Actually, at this point, it's not in the fee schedule. The fee schedule was adopted, I believe, last month without any fees associated with tow trucks. So I believe you have to, I mean, there are two steps you have to take this evening. And I know Elisa had put together the resolutions. I believe first you have to adopt the fee schedule. And then you have to add the tow truck fees to it. The fees that you're being asked to add are the same fees that were always in the code. There are no changes because my understanding is that there was no consensus amongst the council to change. So it's really just a matter of adopting the fee schedule and then adding 2 lines that reflect what the tow truck fees would be.
Right, Dan, the finance committee at the regular scheduled meeting already moved to adopt the fee schedule.
Okay, then it's just adding the, the 2 lines that indicate what the fees will be, assuming there is no interest in changing them, which is what started this whole process rolling, back in September. And I'm not sure that finance ever actually discussed whether they wanted to leave them the way they were or whether they wanted to change them.
We never came to any resolution about changing them.
Well, then the most practical approach is just carrying them over. And if someone wants to revisit it at some point in the future and there's a motion and a second, you can debate or deliberate changing them at that juncture. But right now, they're not in the fee schedule. So basically, there are no designated fees right now.
Okay, Michelle Hirsch.
I'd like to make a motion to keep the 2020 tow truck fee schedule.
Do we have a second? Tony Davis. Any discussion? Yes, Michelle Hirsch.
Yeah, I'm in favor of keeping them. Our tow truck fees are in line with other cities that I've researched. We're in line with like Newburgh, Poughkeepsie. We're actually more expensive. Our tow truck fees are more expensive than even the city of Beacon, which has their tow truck fees are like $75 and even a smaller storage fee. So I'm in favor of keeping them as is.
Okay. Any other comments? We can always change them later. All right, so I'm sorry, so you made the motion. Was it seconded?
Tony,
Davis, right, sorry, Tony Davis seconded. All right, then it's no other comment. I'll, without objection, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, keeping them the same? That's 4-1. Or myself, Michelle, Tony, and Steve, all opposed. Don Tollerman is opposed. All right, so we're going to keep them at the same level. Then there's the question of moving them into the fee schedule. Do we have a motion? Tony Davis? I'm sorry, Michelle, one of you.
A motion that we move them into the fee schedule.
Tony makes the motion, Michelle seconds. All right, any discussion? Seems like the right place for him to me. All right, without objection, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of moving them to the fee schedule, thumbs up. That looks unanimous. All opposed? That's no one. All right, we have officially moved them into the, well, not yet. We're on the way to officially moving them into the fee schedule.
Actually, can I say something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that people understand that these are not fees that come to the city. These are fees that get paid directly to the tow truck drivers and the businesses.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay. So in other words, this is helping our tow truck drivers and companies. All right. Good. Thank you for that. In that case, if there is no other business anyone wants to bring before this special meeting of the Finance Committee of the Common Council, I'll ask for a move to adjourn. Tony Davis, seconded by Steve Shabbat. All in favor? Aye, aye, aye. Thank you very much. We can now move on to our caucus meeting. Are we going to stay in the same?
yes, it's the same meeting. This is the same login number for everybody.
Okay, great. I don't see Rita. Does anybody know if she was not going to attend?
I'll text her now. Is anybody else missing?
Doug's name is here.
All right, I'll
He's
text.
here. Doug is here.
Yes. All right, good. So we'll wait just a moment on that. So it looks like we have 11 items on the agenda for tomorrow night. While we're waiting here, we did have one question. Tony Davis.
Rita is coming, so Rennie, Rita is coming.
Great, thank you. So while we're waiting for that, there's a question about the vote to consider the mayor's veto of the 2 items from last month relating to the CDBG funds. Are those going to be specifically on the agenda, or does somebody have to make a motion to alter the proceedings?
Who are you asking?
Whoever knows.
Dan should probably answer this because I mean, the veto is all new to us, so I want to make sure I don't get it incorrect.
Tony Davis, you want to say?
I just thought we had, I thought it was a special laws and rules or special CDBG committee, and that addressed all that. And from the reason why the mayor had vetoed it. And I could be wrong, but I thought it was a special CDBG meeting that clarified all that. And we were going to vote on that at tomorrow to get those funding through. So therefore we wouldn't need a veto, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm confused.
Yeah, I think if I'm hearing you correctly, the issue is overriding the mayor's veto.
That we wouldn't have to override the veto if we could still get it, if we're going to and vote on it tomorrow and for those funds to go through. Why would we be override this veto if we're still going to vote for it tomorrow? But again, I might need more clarification, but I thought that's why last month there was a special CDBG meeting. Whoever runs that, I thought Steve Shabbat, did you guys not have a special meeting?
There was a hearing. Yeah, Steve.
In regard to a hearing, yes. I thought that was all addressed.
Actually, we were due to have a special council meeting to address this, and we were informed that we could not have a special meeting to override a veto. It had to be done at the next regularly scheduled common council meeting, which would be tomorrow night. That's the first one since then. What we're seeking to do, the mayor vetoed resolutions 10 and 12 of 2021 pertaining to the COVID block grant disbursements. We voted on it last month. It passed unanimously. It was vetoed, and I would like to seek an override of that. We're already a month behind getting the funds out. If this veto goes through, it will be at least another month on top of that before we can get funds out to people. So we did not have a special meeting about this. This would be the first meeting since the veto.
So that's the January 20th was the night that we were thinking of having the special common council meeting, right? But had to be canceled because Corporation Council informed us that we were required to do it at the next regularly scheduled common council meeting. We could not do it at a special meeting. Is that summation correct there, Steve?
As I understand it, yes.
Okay. So if Dan Gartenstein or Kevin Bryant can answer the question of how it is exactly that we bring this up, whether it should be in the agenda or whether we do this by way of one of the members of the council making a motion to suspend the rules.
I'm going to defer that to Kevin. I haven't been involved in this, and really don't know, and I'm not clear about what the issues are.
Thanks, Dan. Okay.
Please repeat the question.
The question is, tomorrow night, we're going to consider the mayor's veto of the 2 CDBG bills that he vetoed. And so our question has to do with, should this be something that's in the agenda that's printed, or do we do it by way of making a motion to suspend the rules and then voting on the veto, whether to override or not, or sustain?
You can suspend the rules and go ahead and move on it.
Okay. All right, great. So Steve Shabbat, will you make the motion to suspend the rules? Okay, thank you. Andrea Schott?
I just wanted to make sure everybody realizes you need a supermajority to override a veto.
Wait. You know what? You know what? I had. As I remember this, I believe I had given Andrea some instructions on this. I don't believe you need to override it. Because again, there's a legal impediment.
Well, that was only part of the reasoning. And the reasoning that was given was that the January 4th public hearing was, the notice was incorrect, but the January 4th public hearing was not about any of the resolutions that were vetoed, or either of the resolutions that were vetoed. So that doesn't really solve the problem.
And so what was the problem?
Well, he gave two reasons. He said that the January 4th meeting was not done properly because the notice was not because we went from go-to meeting and I asked it to switch to Zoom and that switch was not made. So we had to redo the January 4th meeting, which was about the $554,000 reallocation that we just redid the hearing for, but the mayor had wrongfully stated that that mistake or that hearing was for resolutions 10 and 12. Which
You know what? I think we should have an attorney-client session.
Okay, then. In order to have an attorney-client session, we declare we're going to have an attorney-client session. Andrea, can you send us a phone number and a link?
Do we need a motion to go into attorney-client privilege?
My understanding is we do not need to have a motion to vote. Am I right on that, Kevin?
Correct.
I remember from last time. We need to do all that if it's for executive session. All right, so anybody who's watching or joining us here, wondering what's going on, we are waiting for a link so that the members of the Common Council can go into session with our attorneys to discuss the nature of the vote tomorrow night on whether to sustain or override the mayor's veto of two CDBG decisions.
All right, sorry I didn't have that prepped, but you should all have a text message with information.
Got it. Thank you. So everybody remember, please, you must turn off your cameras and mute your selves.
Please announce yourself.
Rennie Scott Childress.
Randy, you're still on mic.
Gotta unmute. There's a couple of you still.
I'm trying to tell Ku.
You know who this dude is? You know who this dude is?
No, I don't.
Judge Bryant in the house.
Oh,
You know what I'm
okay.
talking about?
I'm sorry, I stepped away for a minute. What are we waiting on?
Waiting there for everybody to get back. Is everybody here? If you are, please turn on your cameras.
So Rennie, I'm sorry, I'm having camera issues. I'm here.
Okay.
You just
All
can't
right.
see me.
Well, we can see your picture. Next best thing.
At this point, my picture looks better than the real thing, so.
All right, good then. All right, so Don, are you here? I see Doug is here.
Doug's here. Yeah. I'm here.
Oh, okay, good. All right. So we can then move to the regularly scheduled program for tonight, our 11 resolutions here. We have a transfer in the wastewater treatment plant in the amount of $40,000 to cover the expense of equipment. Financial impact is 0. Any questions, comments, concerns on this one? All right, then I'll take that for we're good. Resolution 14, transfer in the IT department, $10,992 to cover the expense of an upgrade of the Munis accounting software. Everybody okay with this one? Anybody not okay with it? All right. Resolution 15 is a transfer in the assessor's department for $15,189 to balance the department budget. Everybody okay with that one? Any concerns there? All right. Resolution 16, authorizing the implementation and funding in the first instance 100% of the eligible costs of a transportation federal aid project and appropriating funds therefore. What page is this one? Okay, so if everybody's good with that one, we'll move on to resolution 17, adopting the standard work days for elected and appointed officials in the New York State retirement system.
I would have to accuse myself since in regard to me.
Yes, great. Okay, is everybody clear on that one? This is about retirement funds in Tony's account there in the state. Resolution 18, adopting the fee schedule. We took care of this already. And resolution 19, that one also. Everybody clear on that? Okay. Resolution 20, recommending the appointment of Virginia Davis to the Board of Assessment Review.
I would have to recuse myself as regard to this one.
All right.
I think she's related to me.
Well, there's a rumor going around, Tony. Everybody okay with this one? All right. Let's see if that goes. Resolution 21, approving an amendment to the city's municipal corporation agreement with NILAF. Everybody okay with this one? This is mainly administrative in nature, if you remember. Any questions? All right. Resolution 22, amending the city code in regard to livestock. This is just moving one part of the code to another one. Tony Davis?
Yeah, can somebody explain what went on with that, since I'm not, I believe this is laws and rules, right?
Yeah, Jeffrey?
Yes, so we got a communication from the zoning officer saying that he was getting a lot of requests. Previously, the livestock, especially the part of the code that relates to chickens in urban areas, is part of the zoning code. So we are just voting to move it from the zoning code into the animal control part of the code, so that then we can amend it. It's still going to be on the agenda for next month as old business. So we're just moving it from one part to the other, and next month we'll address the language of the resolution.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, anything else on that? Largely administrative here, okay. Resolution 23, amending the city code in regard to affordable housing. Jeffrey, this also laws and rules, isn't it? Yes.
It is. So this is basically, if you'll remember, the mayor had issued an executive order requiring 10% of affordable housing for any new development. So this is something we've been talking about for a while for putting it into the code, and this is what this does.
Tony Davis?
This is throughout the city.
Correct.
So any new housing, and when if it gets voted in, any new development will have to have 10% set aside for affordable housing.
Any new development of, don't have it in front of me right now, but I believe it's 10 units or more.
10 units or more.
Right.
All right. Thank you.
Patrick O'Reilly, then Andrea Schott. You're muted, Patrick. We want to hear your mellifluous voice.
I thought the language said over 5 units, Jeffrey.
You are correct. Yeah, I don't have the resolution in front of me to look at. I apologize, but I believe you're correct.
So every 6th unit, right? If they have 6 units, one of them has to be affordable housing.
Correct. And
That's
yeah, how that's calculated, it's all in the resolution. Let me just try to find it. Hold on. So it will be calculated according to the income of the person. So a certain percentage of their income can only go to rent of the. Hold on.
So is it every 10 units, 2 of them need to be affordable housing? Is that correct? Not just
No. 10%. So anything lower than 10 units will have 1 unit, basically.
Well, anything between 5 and 10, you mean?
Correct. Yeah.
Anything between 5 and 10 would have 1 unit.
Right. And then so if you had
20 would have 2 units. Is that correct?
I have the resolution
You
if you
have it?
guys, if you
I'm
want
just-
the language.
Yeah, I'm trying to scroll through, trying to find it. But if you have it and you can read that, that would be helpful.
Well, just the part about the 10%. It says in any new development or renovation of existing structure, development that includes 5 or more overall housing units, of the 5 or more overall housing units, 10% of more of those units shall be dedicated to affordable housing. You understand that?
So what does that mean? If you have 5 units, if you have 6 units, one of them will be affordable housing. Is that correct?
That's what it sounds like.
If you have
Yeah, if
7
I could just
units,
jump in here for a minute. The language that's included in the resolution is the same language that currently is in the code with regard to the mixed-use overlay district. And in the mixed-use overlay district, it is phrased as guidelines. So what we did basically was we took the language that's already in the code for the mixed-use overlay district. We made it citywide and changed it from being categorized as a guideline to a requirement. The actual implementation of it, will come with time. And if there are, if we see over time that developers are structuring their proposals to avoid, the requirements by keeping under a certain number or keeping at a certain number, the council can revisit that in the future to further clarify that. This is the exact, this is the language that's already in the code. It's just being, like I said, applied citywide, and it's being changed from what is called a guideline now to a requirement. Does that make sense, Patrick? Thank you.
and there'll be no special cases or anything like that?
No exemption.
No
Waivers?
exemptions?
Yeah, the
Waiver.
planning board, the city planning board asked for the authority to waive the requirement during site plan review. The county planning board objected to the city planning board's request. And this body at previous meetings, voted pretty much overwhelmingly that they did not, that you did not want to give a waiver, that you wanted it to be a requirement across the board. And that's why you, in order to adopt this tomorrow night, you would need, 6 votes rather than 5 votes, because you'll be overriding that aspect of the planning board's recommendation.
Yep. Can you tell us again what the planning board recommended?
The planning board recommended that they be given the authority to waive the affordable housing requirement in the context of site plan review.
Does that answer your question there, Patrick?
Yes.
All right. So how do we all stand on this? Everybody still in favor? Yes, 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 yes. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments on that one? If not, then our last item is the approval of a settlement that we discussed with Dan Baker. Everybody okay with that one? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, good. All right, anything else then before we adjourn tonight? Michelle Hirsch?
Yes, I would just like to thank our DPW for doing an incredible job today. I've heard a lot of really positive responses from the community, and they're, kept on top of the snow. And
I shall second that, Michelle, because I was a big complainer the last snowstorm. So they did an awesome job with keeping us updated and telling us everything that's going on. Excellent, excellent.
And I do have a message. As Ed scarfed down a pasta dinner in 15 minutes, he asked me to please pass on that compliance has been wonderful, the best that he's seen. So he wanted me to say thank you to all of you, because I've been, seeing everybody posting on Facebook and getting emails out to their constituents, and they can, it's a team effort, and he just wanted me to say thank you.
That's
Nice.
great.
Please tell him thank you from us as well.
yeah, thank you. I think the increased communication between us and, the department helped us get the word out.
I agree. And he received, they implemented the feedback that they got from us at the last, after the last snowstorm. So that's very positive to see.
Wonderful.
So yeah, just tell them to pass it along. I know they still got the men and women there still have a lot to do, and this snow's not going away for anytime soon. So, and as I stated yesterday, just tell them we thank them, and to continue to be safe out there on those roads.
Yeah, and with all that wind, it's going to come back wherever you put it, I'm worried. So have to keep at it. Good. Thank you for that, Michelle. Anything else? All right, then. Motion to adjourn. Second, third, fourth, fifth, all in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate the work that you do. And we'll see you tomorrow night at the Common Council meeting.